Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Willa Fitzgerald about 18 and a half, which is going to be in theaters May 27th. Welcome back to the show. It's so good to see you again.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing well. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
This is a really cool film. I feel like it's always an overwhelming thing where there is a film that's based on kind of events that happened. And I feel like it's just an overwhelming thing for everyone involved because they have to put that on screen. I mean, is it safe to say I'm onto something here with that mindset?
I think, yes, I think certainly when you're dealing with a story as big as Watergate, there is certainly a degree of, overwhelm.
I mean, I want to kind of be the type of person that doesn't ask you the same questions you've been asked on this press day, but I feel like I have to. It's so obvious. It's so interesting. I mean, you play a transcriber in this.
Yeah.
And I just want to know, what were the first steps? Like the research, how did you kind of prepare for this role? I mean, I feel like everyone asked you this, and I'm upset at myself, but I want to know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I think I certainly brushed up on my Watergate history. I certainly tried to learn what I could about what that job would have entailed, being a transcriber in some part of the White House. And I did a lot of, just general sort of 1970s around that time research about what it was going to be like to be that kind of professional woman. And tried to keep it focused because obviously Watergate is a huge political moment.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's just a lot of dialogue and narratives about it that just kind of seem like so much at times, and they pop in here and there, the movies about Watergate and everything, but every time they come out, I want to watch them all. It's true, you said that, it's interesting. People want to know as much as they can.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. I think it's very salient that it's happening right now too. I think we're all kind of looking back in history to understand our present.
When did you film this movie?
We started in March of 2020
okay.
and stopped for COVID and then finished, I think in September of 2020.
Are you getting used to the landscape now, even with COVID, well, not even just COVID, with just all the streaming platforms and all the opportunities to get stuff out there, that you can make a project that maybe does a little kind of release or anything, and then someone picks it up? Are you getting used to that now, that some of your projects might not have shelf lives that you did 3-4 years ago that might resurface? It's a kind of an interesting landscape a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot of opportunities for things to kind of have second lives.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to work with some amazing people on this movie. Can you just tell me a little bit about getting to work with John and everything? I mean, just an amazing
John's
cast.
great. Yeah, John and I have the same agent, and so I had heard that he was wonderful, and we had just a really fun time getting to kind of make these characters together, and a really fun time having a glass of whiskey at the end of the day. We were all staying in the motel together, and it was, it felt like summer camp in that sense. And that's always often true when you're shooting in indie. It's really a labor of love, and everybody's kind of just there because they want to tell the story and they want to, make something special and unique and not the thing that we see all the time.
The term indie, for movies and music, I feel has become so ironic, because some of the best, greatest movies of all time are indie movies, or some of the biggest bands on the planet are indie rock bands that play stadiums. You know what I mean? I always thought that was an ironic thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Which is really interesting as well. The first thing you said kind of was the research, Watergate and everything, but kind of getting back into the 70s, is the mindset also aesthetic, making sure you're working with everyone to kind of make sure the look is there? Is that kind of something that also comes in mind with a project like this?
Yeah, and we had great set deck because we were using this motel that's truly from the 70s, I think. And we had great costumes that were, all of my costumes were largely made by hand, by our costume designer. And I think that they did a fantastic job. And I think that the filters that, Dan put on the actual film and all of that, I think you have a film that really looks of a particular time.
Yep.
And in a way that's really fun and very specific.
The Watergate, events, although it's not like this is by no means like a horror film or anything, but there was a lot of suspense and a lot of like OMG surrounding what kind of happened and everyone kind of involved. You have worked in the horror genre with like Scream and everything. Are you noticing now that like there's period pieces or dramatic pieces that I wouldn't say like genre bending, but there's a lot of like suspense, I feel like, just always like, or thriller components always kind of thrown into projects these days. I feel like projects like just generally are becoming genre bending and there's nothing we could do about it.
Yeah, I think it's only a good thing.
Yeah.
I think everybody is trying to make something new that is, gonna capture an audience. And I think that's just that means that people need to really kind of mix it up, I think.
What are you hoping when they get to watch this film that they take away from it wise when you get to watch it? There's a lot happening, you know what I mean? But like, is there anything specifically you want to kind of talk about that specifically takeaway wise?
I think that what's great about it is that Dan's made a movie that you can really take what you want from it and you can really have, I think that it's open-ended enough that it is really up to the viewer how they interpret what they're watching. And I think that, as an artist, that's what's most exciting to me rather than kind of prescribing what someone should think or take away from a film. I'm most interested by the movies that expect their audience to be smart and to make their own judgments and opinions.
Do you find a lot of like, I guess if you talk to any like kind of showrunners or filmmakers, like is the goal now with content, because like you said, kind of keeping it open-ended so people can kind of interpret it, do you feel like that's the mindset they go in with? Like obviously some people have a clear vision of what they want to do, but I just find that interesting. Like all the shows that I love that I watch or movies that I watch, they have a lot of kind of themes in it that different people I talk to have different takeaways. Do you feel like that's like the goal a little bit these days, do you think?
I think that I hope that it is. I think that it makes for much more interesting film and television if people are kind of, giving the audience more permission to think as opposed to just kind of telling them exactly what to think.
Yeah, absolutely. Has it hit you that the film is finally going to do like a theatrical release, like 18 and a half? Like it's pretty cool. Like it's coming out at the end of the month. Like has it hit you yet?
It is cool. Well, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be anywhere where it will be in theaters, which is kind of a bummer. So I'm sad that I don't think I'll be able to see it, but I am excited. I think it's always rare for an indie to actually make it to the movie theater. And so it's definitely exciting.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was great catching up with you again. And the film's going to be available the 27th in theaters. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.